This is not her anymore. I thought I had a great marriage. Yes, we had problems, but overall, I thought we were lucky and had a better marriage than many others. I have realized lately that I really didn't have the marriage I thought I had. I feel I no longer love my wife and I am seriously thinking about leaving her. My wife had maintained contact with a couple of old boyfriends. I didn't realize the extent of the contact. She has not met with them, I know this for sure, but has contacted them via email and Facebook. It seems she has been chasing them for a long time. The comments she has made to me is how great her life is and what a great marriage we have. However, given her continued pursuit of these other married guys, and the context of the conversation, saying how great they are to them, has greatly diminished my feelings for her. I am thinking I simply don't love her anymore. I don't understand why she has maintained this contact. Obviously, she needs them or something from them. They did not treat her well and I guess I was too nice. Regardless, I really don't love her the same anymore. I am tired of there being other men in the picture, even if not physical. And, actually, I didn't realize the extent of her contact with them until recently. I just don't feel like I can love her the same anymore. I don't feel like I will ever love her the same ever again. I know she will be devastated, but I don't understand her need to always pursue these other guys. She is obviously missing something or she wouldn't maintain the contact. It has sucked the love out of me. I hate feeling this way after 20 years of marriage, but it seems I can't get past this. I am not real familiar with the dangers of EA. I imagine this is very serious, but I can say from my perspective they are devastating to emotional health of the marriage and devastating to self-esteem. I read that my wife remembered exactly what he was wearing and what he was eating when they met 25 years ago. The tone was filled with admiration for him. Yet he never even gave her a birthday card. My wife and I have been married for 20 years. I have found that she has maintained contact with an old boyfriend virtually the entire time, off and on, claiming he was a friend. When I play along and let her talk about this, she seems to glow when she talks about him. We have fought about this a few times and she seemed to still go back to contacting him. As a test, I asked her if she would have slept with another man. Not only did she say yes, but she was also excited. Now, don't call me crazy for asking, but rather trust me on this and why I asked. It's because I know her and how she thinks. There is a lot more that I could include, but people would likely not read all the details, so I am being as brief as possible and still get my point across. As for myself, I have treated her well. I would say I am nice but can be an ass at times. I am not a wimp but have made her feel good, valued, and appreciated for the first time in her life. I am probably more decent than nice. At this stage I have almost decided to divorce her. In light of this, I made the comment to her about having slept with another man, basically as a test, myself having basically vacated the marriage anyway. As some that has been through this can say, there are always second thoughts and the desire to seek advice and opinions. Given what I have described, would you consider the marriage over? That is, taking into account the facts as I describe and not my feeling that it is over. Would it be normal for a married woman to be so excited about sleeping with another man, especially given her past? Is the fantasy thing something women have? If so, why would a woman with such bad experiences seek this again? This is an issue. She does not want a divorce, she is set against it, and will not make it easy. The only evidence I have is email, but nothing that she actually met in person. On some level I am probably looking for validation that I am not wrong. Inside I probably know the answer, that I am not wrong in wanting out. The puzzling part that makes me question this is her attitude. She does not want a divorce, breaks down and cries at the thought, and seems confident things can work out. Says she will never let me go. She seems clearly committed to making the marriage work and states I am the best she has ever had. Based upon our conversations over the years, I would give this comment some merit. Still, my gut tells me different. There is no doubt she lives in some alternate reality, fantasy, and is screwed up. This concerns me. She stated that she stopped contact and will never contact him again. But I don't trust her. She has moved all of her email activity to work and she rarely touches our home computer for anything. I think her concern about my ability to get old email caused her to do a huge cleanup and is probably using a different account altogether if anything is still happening. I think it is safe to say trust is gone. I do not know how to get old text messages from her phone. Why all text messages have been from people I know, family, work. I brought up the other man, asking if she would like me and another man. She was all for it, lit up like a Christmas tree. This almost killed me. Not the answer I was hoping for, but the answer I did expect to get. 2 months later, I believed her and trusted her when she said contact had stopped. She lied, just as many here said. I am now completely 100% convinced that she will never be faithful to me, when it is still very confusing. I don't understand why she would throw it all away for a guy she dated 25 years ago. As I understand, he dumped her for someone else. I guess he is her true love. I would say with 99% certainty they will never be together, or at least not down the road a couple of years, because he would never marry her, and I think she knows this. But why throw it all away, meaning our marriage? I will never understand all of this, but my question is this. 1. This is very difficult and I hate going through this. 2. Our kids will be devastated. 3. I am devastated but also not, like this was expected. 4. My wife claims she is devastated by my subsequent lack of regard for our marriage. So, my question is this. While this is very difficult, why am I okay with everything on some level? Am I going to crash later in a complete pile of devastation? Has anyone ever gone through something like this and been okay? I mean, I am bad, sad, angry, and all of that, but at the same time okay. I am not longer wearing my wedding ring and it feels good. I imagine going places with my kinds and not my wife and it seems good. Unlike my wife, I have never had any other person in my life, no old flames on Facebook, absolutely nothing. I have no one in my life now other than my kids. Could it be that knowing and or suspecting my wife's feelings of another man for so many years has caused me to already adjust to not being with her? Has anyone else experienced this? Like you are getting divorced after many years and you don't care. I worry one day I will crash. This really concerns me. Because now, while it is hard, I think I feel too good. She claims she is devastated by my lack of interest in the marriage, taking off my ring, not being involved with her, and the idea we are getting divorced. Yes, I have read some of the email with him. She claimed that he comforted her when she was having difficult times. She said he was a friend when she needed a friend and claimed that is all there was. Yes, I have fully confronted her. She closed her Facebook and gave me all passwords. But this is too late. She broke her very last promise and will not get another chance. So why do you think I am okay on some level with all of this? I must be prepared for some difficulties beyond what I am experiencing now. But I do hope I have accepted this on somewhat of the same level that I feel I have now, meaning that I actually feel okay. From my experience, the only way she would know is if new updates were on the phone after the time she signed on last. But again, in my situation, who cares? I sure don't. Best of luck to her and her new man. Her new man that has about 10 better looking than my wife, single women on his Facebook and doesn't have, want kids. Best of luck to her. Comment. You don't deserve to play second fiddle to some worn-out flame of your STBXW. Like me, it's time for you to get out of there or send her packing her bags. And if you have minor kids, you keep them, raise them, and cherish them. After all, they are truly a gift from God, and He would rest much easier knowing that they're being brought up by someone of your moral fiber. And as the scriptures dictate, find it in your heart to forgive her, but you don't have to put one scintilla of trust in her. After all, she's made her bed. OP responds. Right now, she is so uptight and scared about being one of the divorced women that are so common at her work. She should have thought of that before. There is nothing that will bring her into reality, absolutely nothing, that is, nothing short of divorce. Even then I think it will take her a while. She will need to experience life as a single 40-something woman for a while to fully appreciate what she had. She really needs a full wake-up call that needs to bring her into reality for about a year or two. As a therapist told me, she had become accustomed to complete dedication and a first relationship that doesn't have the same baggage. As he said, she is in such a fantasy that the wake-up call will be beyond what she can even imagine. I agree with this. She simply lacks reality to a point to which I have difficulty even describing here. Divorce, it is in process. It took a while to find an attorney. My comment, good for you. Believe me, you will feel as if a weight was lifted off you when the paperwork is filed and served. Don't second-guess yourself. You did the right thing and now the ball is rolling. Do not tell her that you filed. Let the shock of being served hit her full force. Story 2. Early arrival. So, here's my story. We met when we were in our 20s, started as friends. We both worked in the same shopping center at different stores. She was way out of my league, so to speak, and I knew it, but for some reason she saw something in me. We became casual friends, and I was very attracted to her, but never figured I had a shot with her, and she had just recently broken up with her boyfriend and I didn't want to be a rebound fling, so I kept a safe but casual distance. One day she mentioned that a bunch of us were going to meet up for drinks after work and would I like to join them. Sure. Only thing is, she and I were the only ones that were ever going to meet up. It was her way of asking me out, I guess. I had no idea she was interested in me in a romantic way, but we had a blast, and we went out the next night, and the next, and the rest is, as they say, history. 6 months later we moved in together. I was fairly well established, not wealthy, but comfortable. We lived together for 3 years and then got married. A year later we had our first child, and 2 more followed. We had for the most part a very happy life together. There were the normal highs and lows any long-term relationship experiences, but for the most part we were the perfect happy couple with 3 very well-rounded children. Fast forward to 2020. As a bartender she happened to get a rather close-knit group of friends, either girls she worked with or patrons of the bar. She started staying out later and later and went out more often with them, and we as a result did less couple things. I didn't think anything of it, because we had a very stable home life and we were very happy together. We still had our date nights and a very active physical life and even experimented with a bit of the swinger lifestyle. Nothing very dramatic, of course, more of a casual experimentation thing, and it was mutually agreed upon and thoroughly talked about all the time between us. Then, about 15 months ago, I lost my job through a nasty downsizing at the company I worked for. Timing really sucked, because it happened 5 days before she and I were to take our first ever Caribbean vacation by ourselves, without our 3 children. The vacation was previously paid for, and I had a decent severance coming, so we decided not to worry about my employment situation until after our vacation. We had a blast. Best vacation ever. Upon returning home, I wrecked the promise of a new job in the near future, and long before my severance would run out, so we continued living as normal. A few months later though, the job offer disintegrated. The fact that my severance would run out and I couldn't find a new suitable job and still had a family of 5 to support, and a mortgage, weighed heavy on me, and I fell into a depression of sorts. I didn't feel like socializing, and stayed home most of the time. When she went out with her buddies, we soon drifted apart. She went out more and more often and stayed out later and later. I don't blame her that much, since I was more of a homebody anyway, and was not much fun at this stage due to my depression. I managed to find new employment just before my severance ran out, but it was at a much lower salary than I was used to. It was very tough, and we almost lost our home, but I persevered and we managed to make ends meet. Barely. The other problem with this new position was the hours were really horrible from what I was used to. I would have to get up at 4 most days and worked usually from 5 a.m. till about 3, and would therefore be burnt out by 9 p.m. She, on the other hand, worked from 11-7, and would usually stick around after work for a few drinks with her friends. I should explain that she always had guy friends, and I didn't have an issue with that. She has always been faithful, and never tried to cover up the fact that she has male friends as well as female friends. But she had one friend in particular that really bothered me. Bert, not his real name, was a single man, older than us by a few years, and a friend of both of ours. He's been to the house a number of times, for BBQs, birthdays, get-togethers, etc., and again, I didn't think anything of it. That is until one day, last spring, she was out, and we were texting each other as we normally did, and she said she was out with her girlfriend Emily, not her real name, and also a girl I had never met in person or spoke to. I asked her what she was doing, just making conversation, and she said Emily was having boyfriend problem, and they were just chilling at some bar. I'd never heard of the place, so I googled it and found out that the place she said she was at on a Tuesday evening was only open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Strange, I thought. So, I jumped in the car to investigate. I went to the bar she said she was at, and it was indeed closed. I then drove by her normal hangouts and didn't see her car. I drove by Bert's house and saw another friend's car there. Again, didn't think anything of it, because those 2 guys hung out all the time. Then I remembered that the other friend was on vacation and that my wife was keeping an eye on his house, so I drove by that guy's house and saw my wife's car there. Anyway, long story short, I know, too late, she lied to me about being out with Emily, lied to me about where she was, and then tried to cover up the fact that she was at Bert's house alone by switching cars with another mutual friend. I was furious. She got home at about 1:30 a.m., and I asked her how Emily was and where they had been, and she made up this elaborate story. I then told her the place they said they were at was not even open, and she started stuttering and getting angry for me questioning her whereabouts. I then called her point blank on it, and she finally admitted that she was at Bert's. Her excuse was that she needed to talk to someone about my depression and she couldn't talk to me. Anyway, she continued to go out and stay out late, and of course I questioned where she was all the time, because she had broken my trust. She now thinks I'm a stalker because I feel the need to confirm her whereabouts. We often arguing about where she goes and who she's with. She took off on 4 separate occasions last summer for an entire weekend and has even stayed out all night a few times. I have asked her repeatedly to not behave in such a way, and she always agrees to, but then ends up doing so anyway. It was the worst summer of my life last year. She said she just needed some space to figure things out on her own, and I did my best to give her that space, but I asked her to please not lie to me about where she was. We both talked about separating a number of times, mostly via text messaging, because she said she couldn't talk to me anymore. The new job added a further strain on our relationship because of the reduced salary, and we both stopped wearing our wedding rings. I have suggested couples counseling numerous times, but she always shoots down that idea. Then, late last October, things turned around for us a bit. I wrecked a call from another company, and they offered me a position at their company at about the same salary as I had before. It was a great job, and something I loved doing, but it was 1.5 hours away from our home. We were both overjoyed, and we talked about how we would be getting our life back. Also, in November my aunt died, and as is usually the case, families tend to get closer during times of grief, and things were looking up for us. We were back in financial good books and going out together for dinners and dancing, and we also got back into a semi-decent physical life as well. We both started wearing our wedding rings again. Only problem was, she still has this group of friends that she hung with, albeit not every night, but 4 to 5 times a week anyway, and I was excluded from joining her when she hung out with this group of people for some reason. She says it's because I alienated myself from this group, which is, I admit, partially true. Anyway, things were moving along in a semi-normal fashion, but at Christmas, she wanted to spend some time on Boxing Day with her friends, of which Bert is a key member, at Bert's sister's house. She hangs out there a lot actually, pretty much every Friday night. I spent the entire day making our Christmas dinner and she left right after dinner. I asked her not to be late, but of course she was. This sparked another big argument. We also had plans to go out for New Year's Eve, but those plans fell though at the last minute. And she ditched me to go out with her friends again. I think this was her plan all along, she just didn't want me to tag along. So I spent New Year's Eve driving our kids around and she said she was at Bert's sister's. I checked, she wasn't. And I found her at another couple's house. They live out in the country and she was there with all her bar friends including Bert. I was devastated. We were texting but I didn't let on that I knew where she was. She maintained that she was at Bert's sister's home at the stroke of midnight, when she usually texts everybody she knows a Happy New Year message. I did not get a text. Aside from the angry texts we were sending back and forth because I was angry, she ditched me, and she just said she needed to be with her friends. I got even more angry and told her I knew she wasn't at Bert's sister's house and all but told her I knew where she was. She knew she got caught in another lie, so she just stopped communicating with me. I guess anger got the better of me, and I then did something I'm not proud of. I went home, made a pathological liar sign on my computer with her picture on it and planted it in her car. I also texted several of our friends that were at the party, tell my ex-wife Happy New Year for me. Anyway, she got home at 4:30 a.m. And this of course sparked another huge argument. The words separation and divorce were tossed around a few times and it wasn't pretty. I stopped wearing my wedding rings again, as did she. She says she still loves me, but I have caught her lying to me about her whereabouts at least a half dozen times. She hangs out with Bert an awful lot, but mostly in a group with others. She has however been alone at his home a few times as well. I travel for work a fair bit and my new job is 1.5 hours from home, so we are kind of semi-separated already. She pretty much has the house to herself and our 3 teenage kids all week and I come home weekends. Earlier in January, something happened. She had a bit of a breakdown of sorts, got her hours at the bar cut, and I believe our kids may have spoken with her about her behavior. She came to me and said she had done a lot of soul searching and she wanted to speak to someone about her less than exemplary childhood. She has touched on this subject a few times, but never really dealt with the problem, and she now feels she's having commitment problems now as a result of having built up all this anxiety as a child, and she just finds it easier to run and hide into the comforting, non-judgmental happy place with her friends than deal with her emotional turmoil. I promised to help her, and things again got into a semi-normal and happy place for us. Last week, however, the wheels fell off again. She continues to hang out with Bert a lot and Bert's sister, and she has a new friend about her age, let's call her Sylvia, not her real name, that is a divorcee. Also, her other good friend Sarah, also not her real name, just kicked her boyfriend out. Another long story, so now she has 2 single female friends as a support group, so to speak. Anyway, she went to Bert's, she said she was with Sylvia, but I have my doubts, last week, and this caused a certain amount of paranoia and anxiety for me. I tried to talk to her about it and all but accused her of lying to me again, and this did not go over well. It sparked another huge argument and we are talking about separation and divorce again. She went to Bert's sister's again last night and didn't get home until sometime after 3. She's sleeping on the couch, and I am devastated again. 18 months ago, we were the happiest couple on the planet. What happened? For starters, here in Canada, one cannot simply kick his or her spouse out of their own home. We bought this house together and she has legal rights. Having said this, yes, I have let this go on for too long, but it seems we are talking about legal separation now anyway. We have tried to, well I have, tried to get her to reconcile a number of times, but she just isn't making the effort. And actually, there is no evidence that her and Bert are in fact having an affair, at least not a physical one. I know this guy, and I swear he has no desire. Either that, or he's done the most amazing job of hiding it known to man. And yeah, I guess I am kind of a crep, but the heart wants what the heart wants. In spite of everything, I still love her. I have been doing some research and have discovered what is called an emotional affair. I believe my wife of 19 years, together for 23 years, is involved in an emotional affair. She has been good friends with this guy she met at work. She's a bartender for about 18 months now. It started out as just casual acquaintances. He'd come into the bar for a couple beers. Then he would buy her a drink after work and they would have extended conversations. It has been getting progressively worse from then on. I went through a depression last year when I lost my job through downsizing and withdrew into myself, which in turn kind of forced her into finding emotional support elsewhere, and she chose this guy and his family, friends, for support. I'm over my depression, found new employment equal to previous, and I'm desperately trying to reconnect with my wife. Problem is, I believe this emotional affair has progressed too far. Lately she's been making excuses to see him more and more. This has caused a huge rift in our otherwise happy life. She's lying to me about where she is, but also sees him in other social instances. It's like this guy is taking over my life. So, here's my question. Is me driving by his house to verify my wife's whereabouts considered stalking? I never make contact. I just want to know where she is. I caught her lying to me again last night when she told me she was at Sylvia's house and she was with Bert at a bar. I totally busted them, told her point blank, and more me, and she chose him. Will be seeking legal advice ASAP. So, another update, I did confront the OM via email, and politely but sternly told him to break off his relationship with my wife. Wife said to me via text Bert has told her to stop contacting him, and he is finding a different bar to hang at. You guys are too much drama for me. Believe it when I see it. I just responded with that's his choice. She responded with, it's my choice as well. Again, believe it when I see it. Please, was I born yesterday? I respond with, well, it's your choice too then. She, yes, it is. You win that part. Me, it's not a competition. It's a 23-year relationship. She, well, he can't be your excuse anymore. Me, he was never an excuse. I could care less about him. He's not married to me. You are. My issue is with you, and you chose him over me. And that choice was yours. She, either way you made yourself clear what you thought of me. Me, wrong again. I did however make it very clear what I thought of your behavior. I ended the conversation after that. For all intents and purposes, I will only communicate with her now for things other than our relationship. Kids, household issues, etc. After I confronted her and Bert and caught them at a bar and therefore my wife in yet another lie, I gave her an ultimatum and went home. I wrote Bert an email to end his relationship and explain the situation fully. I have a feeling my wife has been lying to him as well. I then locked my wife out of the house. She came home a short while later, and we had a huge argument and she threatened to call the police since this was her home too. I replied, home is where the heart is, and yours is clearly with Bert. Go stay with him. She left. Maybe she went to the police, maybe she went to Bert's. But she came back 2 hours later. I still wouldn't let her in, and she slept in her car in the driveway. The next morning, I left for work, and I guess the kids let her in. But later she sent me that information about the affair being ended. She's back home, for now. I'm doing the 180 and seeking legal advice. Well, the thing of it is, up until 18 months ago, everything was quite literally fantastic. We were very much the perfect couple. Sure, we had things that we did on our own, but even when we did, we were in constant contact via text, email, etc. We were very active physically 5 to 7 times a week, sometimes a couple times in one day, went on dates and dirty weekends, always shared everything, etc. It wasn't until I lost my job and went into a depression that things went south. She had her girl night outs and I had my boys night out, but we always met at the end of the night to reconnect. I actually confronted both the OM and my WS. They each say they will have no further contact outside of her work. We'll see. My comment, asking another man to back off some. You want him to ease up a little. You should never ask another man to feel sorry for you and not bang your wife. That is pitiful. You probably don't mean it that way. Really and truly, unless you are going to tell him to back off and have some idea of what the consequences will be if he does not comply with what you say, I don't get the point.